Welcome to part 2 of the Ableton Loop tutorial for guitar students. And my name is John Pontrello, and today we're going to be looking at making a really simple drum loop to work as an alternative to a metronome. Long before Ableton, I was really interested in the idea of using something else besides a metronome to keep the time, to kind of work as like the thing that everything is based off of. My issue with a metronome is that it just feels really sterile, and usually it's like I'll come in, I'll want to record some idea. As soon as I turn in the metronome, it kills the vibe. So I've used so many different things. I've made audio loops. I've used little drum machines, and it just kind of kept on building. I started using sequencers. I'd use loopers that were MIDI syncable to the drum machines, and it just kind of like I just kept on attaching more cables and to make this simple idea work, to try to get everything in sync. But thanks to Ableton, it's really easy to do, much easier than what I was doing before. So I just want to show you how to make a loop that's going to be in sync with your chord loop. Okay, so we're gonna jump right in here. So to do that, so in the last lesson, what we did was we made an audio loop, an audio clip that then looped. So that's what we were using for the chord progression. This time, we're going to be using a MIDI clip. So it's the same idea, except instead of audio info, it is it's MIDI information. And really what MIDI is it's like it's a musical language to play samples. So it's usually, I mean, there's a lot of different ways that it works, but usually how they do it is with a piano roll. So when you hit different sounds on the piano, it's going to play a sound, and in this case it's going to play the sound of a drum kit. And so it doesn't always have to be a piano, but that's the easiest way to use it, and it's what Ableton uses. So I'm going to go to create a MIDI track, and you can go to create and say insert MIDI track, or you can just press Command Shift T. So Command T is audio, Command Shift T is MIDI. Now we want to bring in a MIDI track here, or a drum kit into this MIDI kit. So I just opened it up, and it opened up to the C78 core kit. I'm just going to drag that into the MIDI. Okay, so now you can see we got all these different sounds down here, and this actually looks like it's more like a drum pad. But when we start writing it, it's going to look like a piano. So I'm going to click on the MIDI clip. Just like for the audio, and what it does is it opens this piano thing. I'm going to make myself smaller so we can actually see what we're doing here. So I'm bringing this up. Okay, so from vertically, from top to bottom, we got all these sounds. Well, I'm going to turn it down because it's kind of crazy. Okay, that's not too bad. Okay, so we got all these sounds here from vertically. Now, so where we put the sounds vertically determines what sound we get. If it was a piano, it would determine the pitch, but the piano is mapped to these different sounds like the bass drum, the rim shot, the snare drum, whatever. Then going left to right is the timing of it. So it's basically split up. Let's see how many dots are here. So in one measure, it's split up into 16th notes. There's 16 different places left to right. We're just going to use quarter notes. Okay, so that's where, it's shaded for each different quarter note. So I'm going to put a bass drum on 1, and on the 3, I'm going to put a snare. And then on each beat, each quarter, I'm just going to put a hi-hat. So you can get really crazy here if you want, but let's see. Now I'm going to press play. There you have it. We got our drum kit here. I'm not going to go too crazy with this. One thing I want to remind you is if you want to be able to hear it at the top of the piano on the left, there's like, I'm just flashing it now, there's like this headphone thing. If you don't have that clicked, you're not going to be able to hear it when you're writing it. You're only going to hear it when you play it. So if you want to hear the different sounds, you're going to want to have that on. It's really important. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to bring this down now that we got our beat in there. I'm going to make myself bigger again. All right, I'm back. So we got our beat. So when I press play, it's going to play it. Let's turn it up a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to record, enable the guitar, and I'm just going to press record now. It's going to start playing. So now I just want to come up with something and some kind of chord progression, and then it'll be mapped. It'll be in sync with this drum machine here. Okay, so that whole thing was pretty good for me. So I'm gonna bring it up to 7 here, which is what looks like where it started. Then it's ending right on the end of that last measure. I'm gonna go up to the gain here. I'm gonna turn it up so we can boost the signal there. Sounds pretty good. There you have it. Ableton keeps everything in sync together, so now I can just play these things together, and it sounds great. So we got our chord progression, we got our drum kit, and if you're interested in the drum thing, I think there's so many different tutorials out there, so you can get different drum kits, you can do different production, you can create all different kinds of beats, depending on what vibe you're going for. And that's really what this is all about, is just creating a feel that goes with the music that you're trying to make. So whatever your vibe is, try to figure out how to emulate that in Ableton, and then when you play on top of it, it's going to be working with you as opposed to working against you. So in the next one, which is the last one, part 3, we're going to look at creating multiple different loops, like creating variation on the drums and creating variation on the chord progression, and then looking at being able to play around and rearrange those in kind of a playful way that, so that you can create something and you can hear something in multiple different ways and see what feels right. And then we're going to print that in arrangement view and then export it so that you have a track that you can play along with. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you at the next one. See you in the next one.